Hi there, Adita Lang with my trustworthy assistant, Janice, and we are going to be going over now the Pilates section of our Fierce 4 program. So we're going to take each move, go through the biomechanics and any modifications that need to be addressed, and then at that point we'll go through a whole sequence so you can see how it goes. So here we go. Starting from the top. So think of your pelvis, it's straight up and down. And so from that point, she's going to start to lower herself down one vertebra at a time. It's as if you took a piece of tape and you pressed it down to the mat and you slowly peel the tape up. It's going to be the exact same thing with your spine. So right now she's just working on a slight movement from here, working on feeling what it feels like to take that tailbone, pressing it under and then pressing it back up again. With the arms up, now she's going to roll back again and pull herself right back up. So your beginner movement is going to be that movement that you're holding onto the leg. As a more intermediate, the arms would just stay straight ahead, and as at more advanced, your arms would go straight overhead. And now she's rolling all the way through the spine. Again, one vertebra at a time. Depending on people's lives and strengths and weaknesses, they may actually skip some vertebrae as they're coming up, and that's when you'll see them try to pull themselves up. You want to encourage them to move fluidly, again, one vertebra at a time. And if that means they need to slow down a little bit, they might need to. So at this point, we're going to extend the one leg out, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So again, for this modified roll-up movement, you are going to be thinking about the first modification is the knees bent. The second would be one leg straight. And then the third, which will be more advanced, will be both legs extended out. Again, rolling one vertebra at a time. And even when the arms are up and overhead, the shoulders are still pushed down and back into the spine. So now with both legs, we're now going to reach forward, come up, and then again, one vertebra at a time, rolling down and pressing all the way through. So as you go up, the same thing applies. You roll one vertebra at a time all the way up till you stack that spine. Excellent. Now you can add a twist to it. So the same principles apply. You're rolling through the spine. Again, the knees could be bent or one leg could be bent even as you do the twist, and that would be for those who have strength limitations. And as you're pulling through the spine, and as you're adding all the different various motions, you have to always remember what's going on in the abdominals. So as she curls up is when she's going to actually contract the rib cage the most. So at this point, again, the shoulder blades are down and back into the mat. The ribs here are really, you're going to have that arch in your spine. You want to feel the ribs contract inward so they become flush with the abdomen. At this point, she's pulled her pelvis, and she's doing this intentionally. And this is what you have to train your students to really recognize when they intentionally take their pubic bone up to the sky and when they intentionally move it down. So the entire motion is just rolling through that pubic bone until you pull yourself up into a bridge. So that same intention that we did with our roll-ups as we're peeling one vertebra at a time, you're doing the exact same thing here, but from reverse. Shoulder blades again are pressed down towards the mat, and as you come up, it becomes a nice straight line from the shoulder all the way to the knee. You can bring one leg up. This is going to be more of your modified, a little bit more advanced, intermediate type motion. The key is when you land, you actually land and push your pubic bone towards the floor. And here you would go more towards your advanced motion. There you go. Pressing straight through. Again, pubic bone aims down as you're doing that. Both legs coming up. So you pull yourself up into a crunch, and you do that by, again, squeezing from the rib cage. The pubic bone is pushed down and away, and she's just pulsating her arms. So this is our modified 100. So again, the beginner modification would have been with the knees bent, and then as they extend up higher and higher, then that takes it more advanced, and it's even more advanced as you move your legs up and away from the body. So the key here is only to place your legs as far away from you as you can. Keep your back completely flat to the floor. The minute your back arches off the floor, your legs are too far. And that's how each person can dictate their own range of motion. So pressing it in. So this part here, the key thing to address again is the pelvis. The pubic bone needs to be pushing up and away. It's that neutral spine that I've talked about in some previous videos. So you want that pubic bone to be pushing up and away even though you're pulling your legs in towards your chest. The rib cage again is in nice and tight. Now you can take it into a scissor. Same thing. Pubic bone ends up being pushing away from the body even though you're pulling the leg towards you. You can increase speed and tempo for some of these, and that again is going to be another modification, right, for our more advanced participants. Turning it into a bicycle. So the bicycle, most people are going to want to try to pull their elbows towards their knees, and your goal and objective when you add that twist is going to be pulling in more from the shoulder than from the elbows. Now as the legs go in revolution here, again, it's all about keeping the pelvis in its perfect position, that neutral spine. That's where the workout comes in, not necessarily what's going on with the legs. It's holding the pelvis steady, yet keeping some movement so that you can try to throw your pelvis off, but your body has to work those muscles in order to keep it where it's supposed to be. Coming up into a basic crunch, reaching away. Let me get out of her way here. There we go. So once again, it's about keeping that pelvis in its spot. The back stays nice and flat to the floor. The rib cage stays very, very tight. And the rib cage, the tightening of that rib cage is what actually pulls her upper body off the floor. There we go. Okay, so on this one, you see how she's extended her arms out. And so what she's going to do, again, it goes back to the further away your limbs are from the center of your body, the harder it gets, right? So if the knees are bent and everything's in, this is an easier position. And if they're up and out, it's a harder position. So she's going to initiate a twist from there. But what's going to dictate her range of motion is keeping the shoulders on the floor. So the minute she can't hold the opposing shoulder on the floor, then that's as far as she can take those legs. So both shoulders stay down, the ribs are tight, and so the abdominals tighten up the most when the body is in movement. Okay? So you can extend your legs for a much harder variation. You can initiate that extension there, again keeping the shoulders to the floor. So the most imperative thing here is about keeping the shoulders to the floor. And you can keep it steady there too. Excellent. So the next one is a Fierce 4 favorite, the mermaid. So notice how she stacked those knees. She's really going to lengthen and reach through the arm as she reaches over. And then you bring it up into a side plank. And take it back down and through. There we go. So there you have it. Those are our signature moves that we use here in the Fierce 4 program. And then again, just as we did earlier for the yoga, we're going to go through a whole sequence for you to follow that too.